Li Xuan is using a very new way of cultivation. He has the talent of randomly attaching willpower to women and using them to help with cultivation. However, before the age of 18, this talent actually has the ability to prevent addiction. It wasn't until Li Xuan's first possession that he realized that this restriction seemed to protect him. Keywords of the novel. My possessed saint is full of brain waste without pop-ups. My possessed saint is full of brain waste. TXT complete collection download. My possessed saint is full of brain waste. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. First attachment of the Virgin Mary. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. First attachment of the Virgin Mary. Yes, our planning is really law-abiding, only brushing the edges, but it's not really GHS. Li Xuan lay weakly in bed, while also offering incense to the planning mother. Minors are prohibited from entering. This reminder echoed countless times in his mind, and a passionate horse raced past him. I just take a paid poop, how can I cross the time? Fortunately, I washed my hands before putting them on. After traveling for several years, Li Xuan still couldn't figure it out, but finally accepted the fact that he had traveled to the game Magician 3, developed by his own company. This is a cross-era immersive 100% realistic simulation online game, with a grand worldview, complex background stories, various saints, fairies, and stars, an unlimited cultivation system of deceiving krypton, open behavior, and free dressing, all of which are the main features of the game. As the chief modeler of Magician 3, holding some expansion packs, what a wonderful start is this. But in reality, he crossed over to a dragon trap that was seriously ill and unable to move. After contributing a side quest to the player, it was like sunshine piercing through the night, and he would die on the spot with a relieved smile. Fortunately, there was no way out, and Li Xuan discovered that he had obtained a talent designed by a dog planner to secretly open a small stove for himself. This talent allowed him to randomly possess women with his will and use their bodies to cultivate, thereby giving back the ability to benefit. In a cross-generational game that allows players to have another body and 100% authenticity, designing such a talent involves the cunning intentions and methods of dog planning. No wonder it said that planning costs money. Li Xuan also accidentally learned about this matter, but did not expect that by chance, this ability would accompany his journey. Just as Li Xuan wanted to make the world feel the pain, a warning shattered his fantasy. Minors are not allowed to enter. Men and women have a bit of a rustling attribute, but some of the female characters in your game have been burned to a certain extent. Their skirts are almost split to the waist, and I wish I could put 3 types of torn socks and 2 types of leg rings on both legs. Is this a bit redundant? It's already 2077 years, there won't be any more Bullhead Q skill icons or Huangzhong 2 skill icon events. Hey! It is obvious that in order to actively respond to policies and pass the review, dog planning has to add some limitations to this ability. At the time of his travels, this body was still several years away from the age of 18. At that moment, Li Xuan's mood could only be described by a plant. Finally, lying dead for 2.5 years, he only needs to pass tonight and become an adult. As long as he becomes a sorcerer through possession, he can get rid of the current predicament. No matter how young you are, it's almost time to trigger the side quests. The reason why Li Xuan knew about the side quests of this small character in the dragon suit was that this, Li Xuan, was one of the characters he personally modeled as the chief modeler, to show the detailed models to the modelers under his command. But how can he remember the specific time point of the side task? Li Xuan only remembers that once a side task was triggered, he would be forced to talk to a female college student about a project worth billions of dollars. It sounded beautiful, but the other party did not get what they wanted, and the follow-up measures were extremely cruel. This scene could happen at any time, and if it were tonight, he only hoped that this female college student would remember to wear black silk. Dida. The clock in the room walked slowly, and Li Xuan spent his days like a year. Finally, 12 o'clock passed, and he had reached adulthood. Possession, start. This time, there were no more damn anti-addiction prompts. The strange power enveloped the body and was automatically transformed into understandable text information by Li Xuan's brain. Random selection of possessed targets. After being possessed, you can freely control the target body and inherit the cultivation achievements during the possession period. Helping possession targets complete certain ongoing events can earn additional rewards. During this possession period, you will randomly obtain an unused seal as an aid during this possession period. After completing 2 events or mastering 1 seal, one can choose to return to their original form, entering the body of the possessed target. Possession successful. Li Xuan slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse, and this body was also sleeping. Li Xuanfu opened his eyes behind him, and below his field of vision was a full curve. Randomly possessing a person with such a figure is truly my company. Seeing this body of Li Xuan, he immediately stopped feeling tired. In the year 2077 AD, under certain conditions, major manufacturers did not mind trying to attract as much attention as possible to vertical painting and modeling, as LSP remained the primary force of consumption. And Li Xuan's company is one of the best among them, focusing on the open world, which is truly open. Of course, in order to prevent some LSPs from not practicing martial arts and conducting surprise attacks in the middle of the night, sleeping naked is prohibited in the game. She is wearing clothes. This is a youthful, blood-filled, and energetic body. Li Xuan was a bit excited, and after crossing the river, he lay motionless in bed for 2.5 years. This experience was simply too dark. He immediately moistened his eyes and wiped them hard before getting up. The lights were not turned off, and the room was very large, with black and white European-style furniture arranged. This woman is wearing a suspender white gauze dress, with soft swaying golden waves in the corner of her gaze, slender snow-white jade legs under the hem of the dress, and slender lotus arms all telling him a message. With such an inferior figure, his company would definitely have a beautiful face. There was an isometric mirror not far away, and as Li Xuan walked along, several thoughts came to his mind. The first one is triangular. There is no card or crotch as imagined. Oh, he doesn't have it down there now. The second is to go to the restroom and see if we can travel back, while also confirming whether the fairy needs to go to the restroom or not. But this woman is mostly a sorcerer, already extraordinary and has no feelings at all. The third reason is that this woman has a broad mind, which is simply admirable, and can be considered a natural talent, making him feel a bit heavy-headed and light-footed. Although I didn't stare, I felt a bit carsick at one point. He's still a child. Where have you ever seen such a battle? Who slapped the slightly hot cheeks with her tender and delicate hands, and the mouth of this body let out a low moan that filled the ears. Li Xuan came to the isometric mirror placed in the bedroom and couldn't help but tremble his pupils as he looked at it. In the mirror, there is a young woman. Under the brilliant golden waves, the azure starry eyes light up her delicate oval face. Her facial features are exquisite as carving, and her skin is fair as falling snow. Li Xuan is too familiar with this stunning face. This woman was also modeled by him. In an instant, many memories flooded in. Saint Christine, this is a character who is in the same city as the character Li Xuan. Li Xuan is an Eastern name, while Christine is a Western name, but this does not conflict. The main theme of Magician 3 is the fusion of Eastern and Western cultures, ancient and modern cultures, and self-innovation. You can see spicy girls wearing black silk high heels, aristocratic ladies wearing foreign skirts on the street, and elegant curled hair beauties in ancient costumes. However, when you lift up her skirt, you will find her wearing fishing net socks, leg rings tied, and a handgun attached to the leg ring. She will pull it out on the spot and kill your good brother. The two of them are both in the city of Noxus, one of the 3 major capitals and 9 giant cities in Magician 3, except that Li Xuan is the little Karami on the edge of the city, and Christine is the new saint of the Church of Light. Due to Christine's involvement in the main quests of players born in Nox City, she is a crucial figure and one of the most important tasks that Li Xuan, as the chief modeler, has received. Due to the importance of Christine, Li Xuan optimized her modeling day and night, committed to creating a pure and desirable appearance and body sealing. Unexpectedly, after tossing and turning, he now obtained this body. No one is more tempted by his own body than he is now. Because this is a face that completely grows in Li Xuan's aesthetic sense, following this stunning cheek downwards, the slender and fair neck connects the plump but slender graceful figure, towering at a height of 1.72 meters, perfectly proportioned, with graceful and moving curves in front and back. The woman in the mirror, except for not wearing the saintly dress painted by Christine Li, can be recognized by Li Xuan as gray. Li Xuan's heart twitched as the information panel of Saint Christine emerged from his mind. Kristen level 3-star Warlock life. 67 power. 88 status. Physiological period. You are currently in a physiological period, and in this state, your mana is reduced by 3 points. Talent. Holy light. The person illuminated by the holy light will repent, creating a negative state. However, please carefully confirm the target. As the saying goes, repent without making mistakes. If the other person is not wrong, perhaps you are the opportunity for them to make mistakes. Seal. Light spear, reading, prayer, green tea bitch, auxiliary, is this only 3 stars? Her delicate hand lifted the strands of hair in front of her forehead, and a hint of surprise flashed in the deep blue star's eyes. In order to conform to the core values of Wogua, the setting of Magician 3 is that one can only start practicing after the age of 18 when their body has grown up. According to Li Xuan's memory, Saint Christine should have only been an adult for less than a week and has actually reached the level of a 3-star sorcerer. As for the high status of the saint, it is not related to her level, but rather to her appearance and talent of the holy light. Christine is like the Kanban lady of the Church of Light, symbolizing more than reality. Li Xuan's chi sank into the dantian, and he didn't feel any discomfort. It's just a physiological period. Shuyin can be understood as the skill of a sorcerer. With a moment's thought, you can also click on the detailed introduction of the art seal. Light spear limitation. There must be light around. Effect. Shoot a light spear with a strength of 110% mana, cooldown of 0.5 seconds, reading, limitation. Full focus effect. Improved to 150% reading speed and 120% reading comprehension prayer limitation. Cannot move during prayer effect. In this state, the mana is increased by 12 points. This possession also brings Li Xuan a temporary random spell seal. Green tea bitch. Green tea bitch limitation. Your appearance makes the other person's heart race effect. Your softness and delicacy will be magnified 0.100 times in the opponent's heart, and this effect is influenced by both sides' mana. This kind of green tea bitch appears in the body of the saint. She is no longer clean. But saying that randomness is random also reflects from another perspective. My company sets aside those unfair and just things, and the rest is fair and just. Suddenly, a heartfelt voice appeared in Li Xuan's mind. Here we go. The reason why Li Xuan didn't act rashly was not only because he was a righteous gentleman who had sworn to Huang Tian and was not willing to tolerate drug gambling, but also because he could immediately write his integrity on the legs of a saint to prove his innocence. There was another reason. In order to increase the fun and practicality of possession, the original owner who is possessed does not lose consciousness. In addition to being unable to control the body, she also obtains her first perspective and various tactile and pain sensations. And he and Saint Christine are both from the city of Nox. Who knows what level of intelligence acquisition ability this high martial world has reached. The Virgin of the Church of Light, she will be crucified and burned to death. No intelligence can be leaked. It's best to treat it as if you haven't heard him, he's just a passerby of this body. It's done as soon as you enter and exit, very fast. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Behavior Assistance and Lao Siji. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 2 Behavior Assistance and Li Xuan, huh? Am I sleeping? Why did I stand up? Did I sleep? I can't control my body anymore. Am I awake now? Oh, damn it, I'm afraid someone has taken my body. Saint Christine has already reacted. Who are you? Li Xuan ignored her. Hello, Moshi, hello annyeonghaseyo, it seems like I can't hear my thoughts, I actually gained an extra spell seal for nothing. Green tea bitch. Did the cultists of the lustful god Aphrodite take my body? Just a short while after waking up, a new spell seal was born with my body, truly my body, jia. Li Xuan almost couldn't bear to reveal her true feelings. This saint is really crazy. Is this the focus now? Your body has been taken by someone. Oh no, the cult disciples of the lustful god Aphrodite have taken my body. This must be a rare one-time spell seal, they must have a Yin spear. Li Xuan had a headache. It seemed that the green tea bitch had caused this saint to misunderstand, but this was also reasonable, after all, being taken away from her body was really scary. But just ignore her. I am the Holy Virgin of the Church of Light. The easiest way to crack down on the Church of Light is to make me unclean, and the way of the goddess of lust believers must be. Damn it. Even the steel bars of the anti-theft window, the pen on the desk, the cucumbers in the refrigerator, and even my hands can handle it without leaving the house. Oh, Dama, Li Xuan was stunned. When he realized it, he had already reached out and used the power of the Holy Maiden's magician to break the steel bar of the anti-theft window, and even his hand holding the steel bar was hanging down on her skirt. What situation? His ability gave feedback on a piece of information at this moment. Behavior assistance activated, in order to ensure the safety and concealment of possession. If the original owner's idea is confirmed by Li Xuan, it will automatically generate behavior according to the original owner's habits. In order to ensure timely physical response, behavioral assistance will directly capture Li Xuan's subconscious. Will my subconscious agree with her just thought? If Li Xuan is currently driving, and this function can be called assisted driving. Li Xuan couldn't believe it. He never denied that he was an LSP, but this kind of thing happened the most on notebooks. He himself definitely felt shy even when he anonymously posted it online. He might only smile when he saw someone else post it. How could he agree with Kristen's idea just now? At most, he subconsciously thought of this issue because he had seen similar notebooks, and was it difficult for him to be judged as agreed by behavioral assistance. Oh no, the strange thoughts of the Virgin and LSP's subconscious may have been stuck with a bug that even a designer cannot solve. Great Lord, I am no longer worthy to serve you. I am no longer clean. Clack. The steel bar was thrown to the ground by Li Xuan, but fortunately it was just a subconscious action, and he still had a chance to stop it. Although due to his LSP thinking, behavioral assistance captures the subconscious and allows him to make momentary movements, he can quickly take over the body and prevent subsequent actions. Can I turn off behavior assistance when I wipe it? To ensure safety, behavior assistance will not be able to be turned off, huh? The saint calmed down. Christine, what's wrong? The sound of the steel bars attracted a nun to break into the door. She saw the steel bars on the ground and said nervously, "Is there an enemy attack?" Did you notice Miss Alice passing by the door and deliberately make a sound to attract her in, wanting others to watch? How despicable this is. It's nothing, you go out first. This sentence hasn't been uttered yet, because Christine thought of watching and behavior assistance came into effect. Li Xuan not only picked up the steel bar, but also said with the mouth of the Virgin Christine, "Don't leave yet. Miss Saint, please stop your strange thinking." I know. Sister Alice's expression was tense as she strode towards the window to examine the broken steel bar and muttered, it is said that some cultists have recently infiltrated the church. Help Saint Christine find the inner ghost of the church and complete this event to obtain one random spell seal, This possession ability is a bit like a system, dog planning is really damn, but now it's mine. Oh no, Miss Alice went to look at the window. How could she easily give her back to someone else, even though I am a woman? Miss Alice, who is just a 4-star sorcerer, now no matter from any angle behind her, with just one strike, she will completely lose her ability to resist. There are many ways to desecrate the Virgin Mary, and after seeing Miss Alice's beauty and figure, onlookers are already the next choice. The cultists of the lustful god are probably filled with Miss Alice's plea for mercy. Dang. Li Xuan was stunned, and with behavioral assistance, she had the body of Saint Christine lift her hand and hit the back of the sexy nun's head, causing her to fall to the ground. This is just the first action, the speed is too fast, he can't stop it at all. Completed the task, Church's inner ghost, and obtained the spell seal, backstab. Oh no, I've become an insider. Christine, the possessed saint, inexplicably attacked a nun in the church. What is this? Not an inner ghost? Is the inner ghost actually me? Help Saint Christine find another ghost in the church, complete this event, and receive one random seal. Li Xuan looked at the fallen Alice and couldn't help but feel countless herbaceous plants sprouting up in his heart. Such a figure requires a turtle shell binding of the above grade. Just casually search through my room and you can find a sturdy red rope in the toolbar under the bed. As a cult of lust, she would definitely do this. Christine's body began to move on its own again, and this time, until the dense diamond-shaped rope net appeared, Li Xuan did not regain control of her body. Because he completely agreed with the idea of Christine substituting into the cult of lust. Otherwise, what should we do? He came to use the body of Saint Christine for cultivation, and then feedback it onto his own body to save lives. Once Sister Alice is released, she will definitely find other members of the church. Even Saint Christine is likely to be temporarily under control, so he is still practicing nonsense. Is this just too professional? Looking at Alice being tied up in a strange and prominent position, how could you, a righteous saint, have such professional skills? You should know that behavioral assistance is based on the original owner's ability. If it weren't for hearing Christine's voice and the new derivative of the mission, Li Xuan would even suspect that the ghost was Christine. With such a professional technique, it can almost be confirmed that this is the cult of the god of lust. This is clearly your technique. Hey! Li Xuan now knew that the holy, pure, and dust-free saint he possessed in the Church of Light was nothing more than an old concubine with a mind full of imperial waste behind her back. But even if Li Xuan interacts with her now, it's too late. In Magician 3, the Saint Christine maintains a cold and holy external persona, and interaction means he can hear his inner voice. At this moment, the image of the saint has collapsed in front of him. Unless she is the kind of foolish woman who is directly corrupted after being exposed, it's highly likely that he will be killed and silenced. After all, in the eyes of Saint Christine, what had just happened was just a coincidence between her thoughts and Li Xuan's actions. In her heart, Li Xuan is now a cult of the lustful god Aphrodite. I can only make one mistake to the end. Why don't you take a look at the new spell seal, Back Sting, first? Backstabbing restriction. Attack must be launched from behind. Effect. Reduce the damage or impact caused to 150%, new spell seal, Backstab. The formation of spell seal is related to humans. This impact is not right. The despicable and evil follower of the lust god, does she actually like this? Next, we just need to find a way to transport Miss Alice out, and we can turn Miss Alice and I into puffs in various ways. She would probably do this. Behavioral assistance took effect, and Li Xuan had already lifted Alice unconsciously. Hey! This time it can be stopped. He put Alice down again, rolled her under the bed and hit her, then sat down at the desk. She sat down and didn't use the steel bar anymore. Did she suddenly come up with a new plan that could make my uncleanness cause more serious trauma to the church? Next will be the pink potion that makes people's bodies strange. Or is it a way to transform one's thinking through the lower abdomen technique? Damn it, I'm really unwilling. End of this chapter. Chapter 3, Don't Affect My Cultivation Anymore. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, Don't Affect My Cultivation Anymore. She is actually studying Saint Christine was surprised. Li Xuan sat in front of the desk, supporting the grandeur of the Saint Miss with the table, and the feeling of being top-heavy and light finally disappeared for the time being. Damn it, at that time, modeling only wanted to look good, but I didn't expect the headlights to be so flickering. It is not advisable to prioritize the greater for the better. Li Xuan can be considered a conservative, but he has still found his way. But Li Xuan suddenly felt his head itch and was surprised to find that he could understand the Bible. He suddenly realized that he was using the brain of a saint. What's going on? My mind isn't full of waste either. In order to prevent some players from becoming infinitely addicted to Magician 3, the setting is to cultivate for a maximum of a certain amount of time per day. At least it's dedicated. The linkage of spell seals should be like this under normal circumstances. Strike fly plus a wind power plus phantom sword danced equals a wind breath slash. At this moment, his life is like a candle in the wind, and he must become a sorcerer in order to find a way out of the difficulties brought about by female college students. For example, Saint Christine's prayer, she prays back and forth every day, and having such a seal is normal. The despicable cultists dare to peep into the Bible, contaminating it with their evil thoughts. Perhaps the light spear will become the asterisk spear, and the Bible will become the scripture. O great Lord, I am guilty. In order to adhere to the principle of easy to understand and easy to deceive, the company has a simple but practical magician system. Although the angle was strange, it was evident that she was comforting herself. Li Xuan said, I just don't want to offend you, otherwise he would really want to prove that touching yourself with your hand is considered blasphemy. Not for public use. The vast majority of a sorcerer's seal may be derived from cultivation, such as the light spear of Saint Christine. Uncontrollably twitching his buttocks slightly, Li Xuan's mind was filled with that scene. Don't affect my cultivation anymore, you useless imperial saint. This kind of magic seal system requires some first charge gift package, magic seal draw pool, version gift package, and then divides the magic seal into levels, from R to SSR, and even after several major versions, with the addition of SP or UR. Players curse and charge at the same time, and our company is playing the best. The cultivation method is crucial in Master of Arts 3. There can also be linkage between seals. Li Xuan really wants to slap himself, see if she can still reach the top. But Li Xuan's current focus is on level. I don't know if it's enough for me to condense the essence of a sorcerer. The conditions for leaving were set by the dog's plan for possession. The beautiful eyes with pale golden pupils twirled, swinging their lotus arms, and took the silver book called the Bible to their chest to open. However, he is still unable to leave Christine's body. How can I say it? You're quite a nice person. This can also be considered a fortunate moment in misfortune, no. If I don't use Miss Alice, wouldn't it be possible for her to be sold? The situation could be even worse. Damn it, it seems that I can only restrain myself a bit, after all, my beauty and figure far surpass Miss Alice, But she hasn't touched any area with my hands yet. Is she the kind of person who has a psychological cleanliness obsession, so severe that touching me with my hands is considered NTR4, 1 layout, 1 creation, 1 and 2 Saint Christine happen to have such thoughts drifting by. He still needs to complete 1 event or learn 1 spell before he can choose to return to his original form. Li Xuan felt that Christine's body had enhanced many sources of the master, and he couldn't help but think. During this possession period, after completing 2 events or mastering 1 seal, one can choose to return to their original form. The body is still in danger, and he doesn't have time to shiver with this holy lady. I can still receive all the messages from my body. I walk crookedly, and the person who is attached to me is either flat-chested or male. If it's for exclusive use, as long as I give my all to satisfy this person in my body, Miss Alice will be safe, right? Let me think about what Claire's beaker would do. The level increase can be achieved through daily cultivation of techniques, which can also be supplemented by resource acceleration. Li Xuan couldn't help but look under the bed, and Sister Alice was still unconscious below. Due to Saint Christine constantly bleeding in her heart, Li Xuan found himself unable to activate her spell seal, reading, at all, as the prerequisite was full concentration. If we can't escape becoming the fate of RBQ and fall into the hands of such people, Li Xuan wanted to retract his words. But Li Xuan has no memory of Saint Christine, so he doesn't know how to operate the Bible. Naturally, he needs to read it again, and by the way, he will also gain the cultivation method of the Bible. Is this the normal usage of behavior assistance? According to the feedback from the possession, all the achievements of his use of the body cultivation of Saint Christine will be fed back into the body. After spending an hour, Li Xuan finally completed the Bible and obtained this cultivation method. Saint, have you woken up? Suddenly, a voice came from outside. Li Xuan felt like he was about to transform into the shape of Christine. Li Xuan was a bit excited. Every spell that his body had enhanced would be returned to his body. As long as the quantity was sufficient, he could use the Bible to condense the source of the sorcerer and become a sorcerer. 4 hours later, in the early morning after 5 o'clock, the sky had already slightly brightened, and Li Xuan opened Christine's beautiful eyes. The Bible on my chest is the cultivation method of the Church of Light. The simplicity lies in that the mage system consists of 2 modes. Cultivation level, and obtaining seal. The literal meaning of cultivation level is that the first level of a sorcerer is sorcerer, divided into 1.10 stars. The higher the level, the stronger the magic and combat power. Or to put it this way, spell seal equals skill equals martial arts equals magic. Being stabbed in the back while praying, with a 150% impact, and then using despicable means to threaten and force not to interrupt the process of praying, is really the evil taste of cultists. At this moment, he reviewed the cultivation system of Magician 3. This is a character like English, but it's really difficult for Li Xuan. He belongs to the 9 leaky fish who can't learn the 3rd sentence of English except for ma ran and fake. He was a bit dazed, and it turned out that the reason why minors are not allowed to enter was so. Fortunately, just by reading the Bible, Christine's plays have their limits, but they can be considered as slowly calming down. Li Xuan was too lazy to pay attention to her and devoted himself wholeheartedly to the Bible. He tried to operate tentatively, and suddenly, the Bible took the initiative to operate within her body, because the Virgin Christine could not have been constantly daydreaming, but she could feel the condition of her body and instinctively practiced, so, behavioral assistance, came into effect. Either you can just touch it, if you get angry and faint, or I can also read the Bible carefully. The green tea bitch was temporarily given away for free, and the backstab was obtained by finding oneself as an insider, not by learning it. Art seal can be obtained and improved through methods such as perception, experience, knowledge, etc. If Christine, an insider, appears in the church within this time frame, he can only silently endure it. As the Kanban lady of the Church of Light, Christine needs to go to the church every morning and lead the believers to pray together. There's no other choice but to pray for her. As long as she doesn't have wild thoughts and has behavioral assistance, there shouldn't be any accidents, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Freedom of Dressing and the Mysteries of Fluctuation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Freedom of Dressing and the Mysteries of Fluctuation. The slit of the black and white patchwork nun's dress almost reached the thigh, and the standard long white silk and black slim high heels made Li Xuan think this was a sex church. Our game focuses on free exploration. Have you all calculated on freedom of dressing? Which group of modelers is so shameless? Oh, was it our modeling team or was it me who made the decision? That's okay. Do you remember when the design was first completed, the group was divided into two factions, radical and conservative. Radicals believe that black silk on the left leg and white silk on the right leg are better, and the slit can be even higher. Conservatives believe that the radicals are still too conservative, so they can simply remove all the skirts and replace them with ultra-short skirts. Unexpectedly, there is a good cycle of reincarnation in the heavenly way. This time, it's my turn to personally brush the edge. Rolling the long tube of white silk slowly towards the center of his thighs, Li Xuan's mind once again heard the voice of the Virgin Christine. Wearing white silk so skillfully, the person who possessed me is undoubtedly a flat-chested person. Oh, it could also be a male ketone, and it's also a woman's outfit. That's not right. I'm clearly attracted to Miss Alice. Oh my goodness, this person's attributes are too complex. Oh, the Saint Miss is not idle either, analyzing her own situation from a curious perspective. The reason why Li Xuan is so skilled is not because she used to wear women's clothing, but because behavior assistance has been effective. This function is actually very useful. Christine shares her vision, and when she sees the St. Mary's dress, her subconscious will appear in her mind about how to wear it, and she will be immediately grabbed. Li Xuan's subconscious agrees and then automatically puts on the clothes. With behavioral assistance, Li Xuan can even perfectly replicate the vast majority of Christine's actions. But unfortunately, the random seal of green tea bitch made her mistakenly believe that she was an evil cult of the god of lust, and then she used her brain full of imperial waste to deviate from behavior assistance, which led to the subsequent development. The most crucial thing is that if you interact with her, you may be silenced by the infuriated holy maiden. If you don't interact with her, you will constantly be misled by her strange thoughts. This is just like when you want to use equipment in dungeons while playing online games, but the team leader tells you that you must have equipment to use dungeons. Can it be called unsolvable? Even if he becomes a Japanese boy who says, "Miss Saint, do you not want your secret in your heart to be exposed?" Li Xuan does not have any substantial evidence on hand. The slender fingertips hooked onto the tail of the black slender high heel, and the silky heel gently stepped into it along the fingers, looking towards the isometric mirror and unable to resist walking towards it. Li Xuan roast in his heart that the 12 centimeters heel is really just to look good. Of course, if you want to ask how the church suddenly encounters an enemy attack and can't even run like this, how can they fight? I can only say it's too small. Your pattern is too small. Our company will use real scientific evidence to tell you that in the later stages of the Gaowu World Battle, even the main road has been wiped out, and the physical coordination ability of the sorcerer exceeds your imagination. Not to mention 12 centimeters, 18 centimeters will not affect combat effectiveness, but can instead be used as your weapon, cruelly trampling on the enemy's body. Arriving in front of the mirror, the woman in the mirror was breathtakingly beautiful, with a pure face, a seductive figure, and paired with this freely dressed saint's uniform. Li Xuan only felt her head up, and even felt a little hot at a glance. It's burning up, damn it. When did it start? The transformation of my body. Saint, the nun's voice came from outside the door. Here we go, Li Xuan responded, reaching under the bed and grabbing Sister Alice out. He added a knife to her neck and stuffed it back in before leaving the door. Under normal circumstances, no one would enter the room of the saint. This was a message that Christine herself came up with while considering how to get out of her predicament, and it was all heard by Li Xuan. Although I'm a bit sorry for Miss Alice, the sorcerer is resistant to beating and there will be no sequelae. There is a chance to compensate her. Good morning, Saint. The nun at the door smiled. Good morning, Million. Behavior assistance, helped Li Xuan answer accurately. Thinking does not necessarily require full concentration, and subconscious thinking also exists. When something enters the beautiful eyes of Saint Christine, information naturally emerges. Unless Christine just fainted from a fever. Let's go. Sister Million came behind Li Xuan. Christine knew the next destination was the church, and the behavior assistance came into effect again. "Good morning, Your Highness." Good morning. Along the way, many people greeted Li Xuan. She is familiar with the people in the church and even imitates my every move so much. Is it the ghost in the church, Sister Erica? She's still like before, always staring at my feet. Damn foot control, you already have a way to kill me. Magician Chris, an old blind man, comprehends a rare spell seal called wave burst from the Bible, always shouting how to understand the true meaning of wave without being blind. If I hadn't seen him put his hands under Sister Monica's neck to cast the meaning, I would have almost believed it. Sister Claire, she shouldn't have appeared in the beaker of the church. How could she possibly comprehend the rare seal of courage from the Bible? Even I haven't figured it out yet. A urine test is necessary. I can guarantee that there is not a drop of urine in her stimulant. This series of psychological activities is almost beyond Li Xuan's control. Why is this church like the dormitory of a female college student? However, Li Xuan still obtained some useful information. Saint Christine is one of the important roles he personally played in modeling, and the Church of Light is the modeling task that is fully responsible for by the modeling team A led by him. Therefore, as an insider of the game, Li Xuan will naturally learn as much information as possible about the Guanming Church before the game is released. Of course, in order to prevent information leakage, even internal personnel of the company will not release too much information, let alone Li Xuan, who is a member of the modeling team. Therefore, Li Xuan took the opportunity to toast a few more glasses of wine and give a few huazi gifts. In addition, the designer department also hopes that characters who have painstakingly written backgrounds and stories, or some unfollowed characters, can have good modeling. They don't mind sending Huazi back to Li Xuan and letting him draw the best USB drive. But the USB drive is not very compatible with the original D drive, resulting in a constant conflict between the game materials on the USB drive and the learning materials on the D drive. In addition, a USB drive is a USB drive, and the brain is the brain. Li Xuan wouldn't memorize the things he searched for with CRTL+F, after all, who could have thought of crossing into the game? After scrolling through the contents of the USB drive, Li Xuan became a fan of the D drive. Of course, some information will be the focus of Li Xuan's memory. The Church of Light is one of them. For example, Saint Christine has a noble but limited identity, which is equivalent to the Kanban girl promoted by the planning department of the Bright Church Company. However, on the other hand, she is related to some main quests, so she is an important role for the entire game. For example, Christine's evaluation of this old blind Chris. Li Xuan's heart suddenly accelerated. Sword Saint Chris, set as the top powerhouse in history who closed the Star Gate decades ago, possesses an exclusive spell seal called Wave Mystery, which is one of the strongest basic spell seals that can be learned in the game version 1.0 in Nox City. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Non-Orthodox Fluctuations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Non-Orthodox Fluctuations. After closing the gate of the Star Realm, the old blind Chris lost his soul and came to the Light Church for retirement due to some things. He only accepted closed-door disciples even when accepting disciples. That is to say, only one player can obtain the seal of Wave Orphanage. It's hard to imagine that our company would have the conscience to use out-of-print art to enhance the realism of the game. Shouldn't it be the first time to send SSRs? But to cultivate this SSR, do we still need more than 10 SSRs with the same name? Li Xuan tried hard to recall everything about the Sword Saint Chris. To win the favor of Sword Saint Chris, one must learn the 3 magic seals of Wave Burst, Mind Eye, and Killing Intention Wave, which blend Wave Burst with Offensive Desire. This poorly crafted Sword Saint will then impart the meaning of Wave to this person. If it had been before, even with the ability to possess, Li Xuan felt it was difficult to touch the abyss of Wave, but now, Wave Explosion is in the Bible. If it is possible to borrow the body of Saint Christine, or if a possessed person with exceptional talent can later practice the Mind Eye, then the wave mystery will be stable. Whether it is wave burst or mind eye, they are rare spell marks that are extremely difficult to obtain. However, in reality, compared to harvest, the difficulty of obtaining the wave mystery can only be considered above average in the early stages of Magician 3. The advantage is that this is a hidden task, and the current version does not have any prerequisite tasks, so we can only rely on luck. Why does Sword St. Chris appear here to mess up? Why only recognize those 3 seals? The reason is simple, even the designers didn't come up with a plan. The reason can be updated in the next few versions, as long as it does not conflict with the previous versions. You can call this the master's task, and at most, it will be criticized by players for being curious, which may even cause excitement for some players. Besides, the character of the blind old man Chris is clearly aloof. In the information, his bad behavior is just being an ordinary mage here. Is there a possibility that the old blind man and nun Monica are really exploring the mystery of fluctuations? Although he doesn't have a strong desire to accept apprentices, he is also casually teaching the wave art to see if he can receive his apprentices. And then she was accidentally bumped into by the Virgin Christine, causing such a misunderstanding. As Li Xuan's gaze lingered on the blind old man Chris, Christine began to daydream again. Fluctuation. Ha! If the old blind man and Monica are really discussing fluctuations, isn't this Virgin, as the most abundant woman in this branch church, naturally gifted? Li Xuan's gaze shifted slightly downwards, casually sweeping over Christine's broad chest. Undoubtedly, Lao Siji is trying to believe and understand the interaction between the blind man and Monica from a unique perspective. How can one lead by example and compare to the years after the growth of this saint's figure experience it firsthand? Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to try to obtain the wave burst yet, and my body no longer belongs to me. Saint Christine has only been a magician for less than a week. Damn it, she's really going to try it out. Undoubtedly a waste saint, there is a feeling of finding a reason to desecrate oneself with peace of mind. But Christine's idea actually inspired Li Xuan. It's really possible. What can't their company do? The company is more diligent and hardworking than anyone else in terms of edge scraping. The company can accept you saying that the company is not doing a good job in gaming, but it will never accept you saying that the company is not doing a good job. A big shot like Sword St. Chris, the designer is the head of the design department, and that woman is also an old lady. It's normal for this woman to add such a setting casually. So give it a try. To leave this body, Li Xuan still needs to learn a magic seal or find an inner ghost in the church. The latter is mostly a small character. Li Xuan browsed through memories about the Guangming church and had no relevant information at all. If it were to be delayed for a long time, his Kun might have already sent it back. As for the former art seal, it is condensed through methods such as knowledge, experience, and perception, and can only become a master at the age of 18. Therefore, in the period of just becoming a master, the knowledge and experience of these 18 years will present an explosive period, which will make the fusion of art seals easier. Due to the excessive accumulation of 18 years, this state will not only be blessed with existing knowledge and experience, but even new knowledge and experience will be blessed. According to the original route, Christine followed the path of wet nurse and pastor, and the core of the seal she learned was the seal, courage blessing, that Sister Claire had just mentioned in her heart. At this moment, it is the explosive period of Christine, and perhaps in these 2 days, the blessing of courage will come out. At that time, the blessing of courage will be reflected on oneself due to possession, and Li Xuan will also receive this spell seal. But he needs courage and blessings, it's useless. That damn female college student is about to go crazy and play with him. Can't it be that I still have to give her 365 blessings? That female college student was just a novice sorcerer, and she secretly attacked based on the opponent's preconceived belief that she was still seriously ill. If she obtained an attack-type seal, this would be more secure. Christine must become the shape he wants. Coincidentally, during the explosive period, there may really be a chance to learn how to wave burst. This is not that Li Xuan casually made decisions for Christine. In his view, Christine is like a college graduate who has played for 4 years and has no plans for her own future, just following the expectations of others. Here, it is the bright church, and she has embarked on the path of a wet nurse. This confused girl, the leader of the neighboring planning group, has many hidden rules. From Christine's voice, it can be seen that this woman not only has a mind full of obscene waste, but her aggressiveness is also quite high, not to mention that even dogs passing by will be scolded. It's really not low. Even if this woman becomes a wet nurse, she is still a poisonous milk. Anyway, she's so confused. If she wants to become the shape that others expect, why can't that person be herself? Furthermore, the level of wave burst in the output world is even higher than that of courage blessing in the nanny world. However, it is her business to know how to play with the fluctuation queen saint. Li Xuan still needs to find another way to play with fluctuations, because the sword Saint Chris, he feels that he must explore the Holy Maiden again. Although Li Xuan is not yet familiar with the ability of possession, there must be an option for historical possession in dog planning, right? Since you still need to come in, leave a line in your work. It's definitely not a bad thing not to completely provoke the saint. Just because you're an old servant doesn't mean you can be careless. Of course, he's almost dead, but if necessary, he doesn't have time to care about the feelings of the Virgin. First, go pray. Maybe it can trigger other events and rewards. It's too dangerous to find an inner ghost or something. Saint Christine is only a 3-star sorcerer. What is Jay Chou's song called? The clock goes out in the opposite direction. Her delicate body trembles slightly, beware. End of this chapter. Why reward him in chapter 6? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why reward him in chapter 6? In a pure white church. Christine's body was already in place, standing in the center of the church booth, hands clasped in her lower abdomen, with a smile on her face, sacred and beautiful. As the Kanban girl of the church, even though Kristen is currently in the explosive period of art printing, the church still hopes that she can spare precious time to shoot and upload videos to the official account of the app Douyin. Now the competition pressure for corporate recruitment is really high, even express delivery and communication companies are starting to sideline, and Guanming Church doesn't mind riding the heat. Although mentally prepared, witnessing believers from various races on the prayer seats below still left Li Xuan greatly shocked. Humans, goblins, elves, and even furry beast mothers with pink skin exposed in their paws sparked Li Xuan's wild imagination and interest in the healthcare industry in the game. Christine's little mouth was not idle either. A3:48. That burly green-skinned orc is so disgusting. What should I do if the person who possessed me is this kind of thing? Damn it, if it's this size, Warhammer orcs. Li Xuan knows them, but according to the setting, these orcs drive large cars that are over 3 meters tall, so Christine's concerns are not necessary. Suddenly, Christine realized. So, is it not enough for Miss Alice to just watch alone? Blaspheming my holiness, where is there a better chance than praying in public? As a saint, my attire is strictly required by the church, so she cannot carry any props, and what is about to destroy my life will be my hands shit. The hands intertwined on the lower abdomen began to move uncontrollably, following the silky holy dress, separating up and down, gradually moving away from each other. Miss Saint, don't daydream in such an occasion. Hey! Fortunately, Li Xuan had already prepared for such a serious occasion and had been on guard against Christine's imperial waist. With full concentration, her hands were only a few centimeters apart and she put them back together again. There are already enough people, isn't it, as I thought? It seems there is a deeper conspiracy. Christine even had a misunderstanding because Li Xuan moved her hands. Oh, just standing for a while won't do. No matter how much you imitate the words and actions of this saint, you don't have the level of practicing for 2.5 years like this saint. Very good, this action is completely a dereliction of duty at work. I have already felt the despicable gaze of that damn Bishop Isaac. Didn't Claire's burning cup make this damn bastard unable to get out of bed? After the prayer is over, he will definitely find a chance to CPU me, but maybe he can notice my abnormality. Li Xuan's gaze couldn't help but look at the man in black in the first row of seats. Helping Saint Christine counterattack Bishop Isaac's pua, completing this event, can obtain a random spell seal from the Bible. There really is a new incident. How did Isaac, this bastard, become so ordinary and confident? Is his uncle the cardinal of the church? Setting aside this fact, what is he still? What is the difference between him, a mere 3-star sorcerer, and the red-eyed goblin behind him? His uncle is the cardinal of the archdiocese, and the group of people second only to the Pope would boldly ask, isn't that enough? But this prayer, there shouldn't be any new moths, right? Unconsciously, prayer had already begun, and Christine's hands were folded on her chest, closing her eyes and silently reciting the Bible. Li Xuan entrusted everything to behavioral assistants. Quickly after the prayer ended, when she returned to the backstage of the church, a nun ran over and whispered in Li Xuan's ear, "Your Highness, Bishop Isaac has asked you to come to the office." Isaac's mood is quite good in Nalda's office. Saint Christine, a naturally beautiful village girl, awakened her rare talent, the holy light, upon arriving in the city of Knox. She was selected by the Light Church, which urgently needed a Kanban girl, to become the protagonist of the Saints project. She ignored his hints several times and was completely ignorant. But this is just a small issue. A somewhat famous internet celebrity like her only needs to experience some negative public opinion arranged by the capital after tasting the sweetness. When she discovers that she is about to have nothing, she will panic and feel at a loss. At that time, she will appear in a difficult posture to express that she may be able to help her deal with it. Most likely, she will struggle endlessly in her heart and ultimately choose to accept his hidden rules. After all, after the hustle and bustle, no one is willing to accept mediocrity, just like Claire's beautiful beaker from the countryside. Previously, she only revealed a little about the selection of the St. Mary project, and she wished she could come to serve her every night and actively change her ways. And today, it is Isaac's first time using tough tactics while Christine is not eating soft. Just shattering her holy maiden dream may not require any further operation. It can be done tonight, but to be honest, Isaac hopes that Kristen can continue to maintain that ridiculous dignity. Claire's excessive initiative makes him feel like he is missing something. Conquering is the most enjoyable thing for men. After pondering for a while, when the office door slowly opened, Isaac picked up a book from his hand and smashed it over, opening with the classic, "Do you think the company is your home?" But he soon regretted it. "Bishop, I was wrong." The mournful and graceful voice, like a blooming flower, is unbearable to hurt. Above the helpless and moist beautiful eyes, the slender eyelashes gently tremble, and I still pity them when I see them. In this moment, Isaac only felt his sensitive muscles being crazily touched, and thousands of words gathered in his heart, leaving only a few words. "I'm really damn it." My hand slipped. Isaac suddenly stood up and explained in a flustered tone. "It's okay, Your Highness," said Saint Christine, still delicate and pitiful, but her words were suddenly strange. There was a hint of disgust in her eyes, and she looked down and said, "I really want to step on Your Highness's ugly face." Isaac was taken aback for a moment, then a hint of fanaticism appeared in his eyes and he excitedly said, "I am guilty, please make sure to trample on me hard." Event upgrade. Help Saint Christine humiliate Isaac Pua fiercely while counterattacking. Complete this event, reward upgrade, and receive a random rare spell seal from the Bible. But Li Xuan's heart tightened. This is a bad thing. Green tea bitch limitation. Your appearance makes the other person tempted effect. Your softness and delicacy will be magnified 0.100 times in the opponent's heart, and this effect is influenced by both sides' mana during his prayer. Li Xuan thought of how to counterattack Isaac, which was to use the technique seal of the possessed white prostitute, the green tea bitch. And Saint Christine, with her body that can cry whenever she wants, is a natural actress with perfect potential as a green tea bitch, easily catching Isaac, who is also a 3-star sorcerer. Isaac's color is so silly at that moment, even Li Xuan believed it when you said it was magnified to the limit by 100 times. But things are still moving in an uncontrollable direction. Christine also watched the result of his use of green tea bitch, so her thoughts in her heart were, this ugly face must be stepped on hard. The Saint Miss is already in a state of disrespect. Anyway, if she is possessed behind her, her life will probably be ruined. It doesn't matter if she offends this person, she just wants to vent her frustration. But Li Xuan was really damaged by foot control netizens. He immediately classified wearing thin high heels and trampling on them as a kind of rough gameplay, so subconsciously he confirmed his agreement. It's all the fault of this generation of netizens. Then, behavioral assistance came into effect, and Christine couldn't stop saying this sentence. And Isaac, feeling extremely guilty and tempted, excitedly agreed. This was supposed to make Isaac apologize, complete the counterattack CPU incident, receive rewards, and it ended directly. But unfortunately, Christine and his LSP have launched a new behavior assistance prank operation. Although the reward has been upgraded, can this matter still be resolved when Isaac is released from the green tea bitch? If we change our tone now, it would be really strange. Not only may the Virgin guess some details, but Isaac is also full of ugliness, which is equivalent to giving the other party a big fight and apologizing. Will the other party accept it? This is equivalent to completely offending the bishop. Christine, please trouble me. Li Xuan tried hard to recall the expansion pack. Even if he didn't appear, Christine should still be harassed by this person. How did he solve it in the end? Damn it, I can't remember it. It may also be that there is no such thing at all, or it has been mentioned at all. The game is still in version 1.0, and there are many information gaps that need to be filled later, which also facilitates the linkage between characters. Saint, please trample on me hard. Isaac lay on the ground and patted his face excitedly. Since it cannot be remedied, then enjoy it. Confirming that one will trample on it and turn it into a playful act is not even self-punishment for LSPs like Li Xuan. Looking at Isaac lying excitedly on the ground with disgusted eyes, he only had one thought in his heart: why reward him? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Greed, Deficiency and Gunfight Art. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Greed, Deficiency and Gunfight Art, completed the event, counterattack Bishop Isaac's Pua, and obtained a random rare spell seal from the Bible, Greed Deficiency, Lack of Greed Limitation. Only greedy individuals can comprehend from the Bible. This seal can only be condensed once. This spell will disappear after taking effect. Desire is the beginning of misfortune, greed is insufficient, and God comes to satisfy it. When gaining benefits, there is a chance to trigger it, increasing the harvest to 2.100 times. Leaving the office, behind Saint Christine, there was a scene of the bishop licking the floor and shoe prints, and the reward for the mission was also being settled at this moment. Does she also find that ugly mouth too disgusting? In that case, this person should not be the kind of BT fighting S, otherwise they wouldn't give up the opportunity to trample on others like this. A new spell seal. Greed Deficiency. It's terrible. She didn't give up this opportunity, but couldn't even make it in this small office. I'm going to suffer from old sins. Damn it, even with those strange commands and props. Lord, I won't yield to her. I hereby swear to the Lord that at that time, shouting, "Stop," will count as my loss, and not shouting any harder will count as my loss. I can't stand this imperial saint. Li Xuan walked straight towards the church library. The library here houses various books on martial arts that can be used to cultivate and help condense the seal. With the permission of a saint, there will be many books that can be viewed. The bishop's incident is just an interlude, and Li Xuan's goal is to play with fluctuations and take advantage of Christine's seal explosion period to try to master the wave explosion in the Bible. He used the authority of a saint to go deep into the library and scan the list of books on the light screen in front of him with Christine's deep blue starry eyes. In her heart, why did the Virgin Christine ultimately choose the wet nurse route despite having thoughts about wave bursts? The reason is very simple. Because Saint Christine quickly received the blessing of courage during the explosive period of the seal, and then developed the system with the blessing of courage as the core under the guidance of the Church. She did not have extra time to study the wave explosion, or perhaps gave up after trying it for a while without success. It's like you submitted offers from both Tingsun and Ali at the same time, but the neighboring Chengdu sent the offer first, which already meets your job needs. Then you haven't opened your email again because you know that most likely you can only see credit card debt notifications and spam emails like, "Brother looks at my information," but it can be dropped nationwide. And Li Xuan wanted to try using Christine's talent. Got it. Staring at the list of books in front of me, the deep blue starry eyes suddenly shimmered with light. Beauty is a woman's best asset, and using it for benefits is something Claire has known since childhood. At the same time, during her growth period, there was a sentence that had a huge impact on her. Repeating simple labor is of no value. Joining the Church of Light and repeating meaningless work with other nuns every day, she saw no glimmer of a bright future in her ordinary sorcerer talent that had disappeared from the crowd. So she didn't mind using her own body to seek short-term benefits from Bishop Isaac. Even though she knew that scumbags like Isaac could easily kick her away if they got bored. Claire is also well aware of her strengths. Adaptability. Isaac likes the beaker, she doesn't mind showing more initiative than a prostitute. Isaac shows disgust, and she dresses up as innocent, even changing her temperament over and over again in front of the mirror. With such efforts, she endured the nausea in her heart and served Isaac for several months before finally obtaining a spot for a new project. The Virgin Mary Project. The appearance of Kristen ruined all her efforts. This village girl from the countryside did nothing and relied on her superior beauty and sudden awakening talent, the holy light, to directly obtain the nod of the head of the Holy Girl Project. Why? Jealousy once caused her to separate, but even though she was blowing the softest pillow, Isaac still told her that he was powerless in the short term. But Claire has another hand to prepare for. Gunfight art. This is a skill that both priests and nannies will practice in the early stages of the sorcerer realm. Due to the lack of attack methods, they often prepare a mage's pistol for self-defense. Practicing gunfighting can condense techniques such as track deviation and bullet amplitude. The former can make bullets turn, while the latter can make their strength stronger. As a playboy, Isaac doesn't follow many family rules, but he also knows that taking protective measures during weekends can effectively reduce a lot of trouble. And Claire's goal is very clear. To allow Bishop Isaac's bullets to break through the constraints, and then achieve precise strikes through offset fine-tuning. The Lord of the Church of Light does not prohibit marriages between men and women in the Church. Although Isaac, a scoundrel, would never marry him openly, if she were to conceive his child, she could at least live the simplest aristocratic life. After today's prayer, she arrived at the training ground behind the church as usual. If nothing unexpected happens, she will be able to obtain the seal of Gunfight in the next few days. Ha! Bang! Suddenly, the sound of women's soft cheers and gunshots came from the training ground. Claire wondered in her heart, should all the nuns be busy at this point? She also relied on Isaac's permission to avoid those boring jobs. She suddenly opened her eyes wide, never forgetting the sound in her dreams. As she quickly approached the training ground, a few strands of blood appeared in her beautiful pupils. What did she see? Saint Christine is actually practicing gunfight here. Ha! Black slender high heels stomped heavily on the ground of the training ground, and Christine's body and wrists shook rapidly. From behind her, she looked like a stunning beauty, with a slender and fair neck. Every time she swung her pistol, the surging waves, even the flowing beads of sweat, were emitting a pearl-like luster. Whether in terms of beauty or figure, Claire once again confirmed that she had suffered such a complete defeat. Why does she practice gunfight? Christine is a saint, and the magician pistol that the church equips her with must come with the type of precision bullet screen seal. What is the significance of practicing gun fighting skills? Claire suddenly recalled some uncomfortable things. Just as we were praying today, Saint Christine made an almost impossible mistake and was called into the office by Bishop Isaac to give a lecture. She should have only recently come out. Do you think so? Claire's pupils were instantly bloodshot. A bastard like Isaac couldn't have coveted Christine, she must have just happened in the office. Yes, even a saint is just the protagonist of a sudden project in the church. Christine finally figured out that instead of becoming a saint like a puppet, it's better to take this opportunity to become Isaac's wife through matchmaking. Confirmed her gaze, she's a colleague. Use the trajectory deviation and bullet amplitude of gunfight to achieve precise strikes, and then threaten Isaac with the matter of defiling the Virgin Mary to inform the church and force him to marry openly. Christine, this despicable and shameless slut. There is a Saint Mary quota in the front, and Isaac in the back. Does she want to take away everything she has been trying to covet? Jealousy and hatred blurred Claire Gauss, and a surge of anger surged in her heart. If Christine suddenly applies the blessing of courage behind her, her magical and physical strength will suddenly experience a super high increase buzz. A pure white halo drifted around a large number of biblical symbols, swirling around Claire's body, enveloping Christine's body. At this moment, Christine was firing a new shot, and the sudden increase in power made her step on the ground with one foot. The violent swing of her right hand made her uncontrollably hit the ground hard. Seeing Christine fall in embarrassment, Claire sneered from an invisible angle and casually said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Saint. I'm practicing blessing of courage here." Suddenly, I broke through and my range expanded a lot. She quickly pretended to help the delicate body lying on the ground, but found the woman motionless. Claire sneered in her heart, "Forget it. Bitch." Just as she crouched down to help Christine up, a terrifying wave suddenly erupted from the other person's body, crushing every inch of her skin equally, and throwing her fiercely out like a shell hitting a nearby wall. Ignoring the crushing pain all over Claire's body, a hint of anger appeared at the corner of her mouth as she vomited blood. Her blood-red pupils stared fixedly at the slowly rising figure, and a hint of terrifying and almost twisted jealousy appeared in her heart. Is this a wave burst? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Murder kills the heart, if you own the heart. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Murder kills the heart, if you own the heart. Hello, it hurts so much for this saint. I said, why suddenly there's a little heat behind her. It turns out someone's burning up. It's a wave explosion. Dog women are so damn, roar, my saint's figure is indeed the most plump in the church. Damn it, such a plump me, someone has taken over my body. Li Xuan awkwardly got up, and the little mouth of the Virgin Christine was still chattering incessantly. Unexpectedly, enlightenment can also be considered as the benefit of the spell seal, greed deficiency. The heavy blow of the fall made the surging waves unprecedented. With the clever little brain of the Virgin Mary, the melon seeds obtained many insights from the Bible in a moment. Greed deficiency triggered a multiplier of about 30 times. Desire is the beginning of misfortune. Greed is insufficient, and God will satisfy it. The Lord is merciful, giving every believer an equal opportunity to be satisfied from desire. Each person can only condense from the Bible once. With the disappearance of the one-time seal of greed, the seal of wave explosion also condenses. After falling, Li Xuan fell into a state of enlightenment and did not notice Claire's approach. He was as excited as a primary school student using his grandmother's face to unlock anti-addiction and continue playing games, using wave burst. Of course, even if he noticed Claire, he would still use it. Surprisingly, fluctuations can really erupt. I did not misread our company, as far as I could, in the place where I could edge it. Burst of fluctuations limitation. Must sense fluctuations effect. Burst of fully covered spell from all sides of the body with an invisible fluctuation of 130%, cooldown for 10 seconds, isn't that right, isn't it? Is that old blind Chris really teaching Sister Monica about the mysteries of fluctuations? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Is the Bible such a filthy thing? It should be a shortcut, just as Li Xuan looked at Sister Claire, who was still spitting blood, with Christine's deep blue starry eyes. It's like Claire's beaker, using her body, took a shortcut on Bishop Isaac's side. Everyone knows about this, right? Maybe only she didn't know about this coming out, after all, who would talk about this in front of the parties involved? Ha! Oh, it said that the spot for the Virgin Mary was originally hers. Does she seem to have some complaints about me? The Virgin Mary can be metaphorical. Help Saint Christine counterattack Sister Claire's murder and heartbreak and complete this event to obtain a random state spell seal from the Bible. The Virgin Mary is also very vengeful. But with this intention in mind. With her slender high heels tapping on the floor, Saint Christine's body quickly ran towards the wall of the training ground, deliberately casually saying, I'm sorry, Miss Claire. I'm practicing wave burst here, and suddenly broke through. It seems like it likes to move on its own. Wow. Claire opened her mouth and spat out a small mouthful of blood, with a hint of resentment flashing deep in her eyes. I just treated her the way she treated me, why are you still angry? Wave burst is one of the extremely rare seals in the Bible. Once understood, it is enough to prove the talent of a sorcerer. If so, is there any need for Christine to please Bishop Isaac? If she maintains this talent, then she will become a true saint, not a mascot. Claire noticed that Christine's clothes were neat, and it was clear that nothing had happened between her and that rude guy yet. She forced out a smile and said, I broke through and affected the saint, but I didn't expect to help her break through. That's really great. Li. But she saw the Virgin Christine cover her mouth with delicate hands and a serious expression, saying, the initial range of the blessing of courage should be remembered by every pastor, the distance that needs to be controlled at any time, and Miss Claire did not break through. This should be the knowledge that Miss Claire has reviewed countless times. If Miss Claire is so forgetful at a young age, then I suggest you quit sex. The dress is wrinkled, the bishop is really rude. Christine helped her tidy up the hem, and a hint of undisguised mockery appeared in the deep blue star's eyes. The smile on her stunning cheeks seemed to be shrouded in a layer of dark clouds. Claire's face visibly darkened as she looked at Christine in anger. Isaac, this bastard. Although she even found a reason to not have to do those tedious and tiring jobs, that bastard probably still revealed it in a boastful manner. Yes, what are you looking forward to for that kind of playboy rich second generation? Since she tore her face apart, Claire didn't pretend anymore. She said coldly, Saint, do you know how it feels to have something you've worked hard for a long time taken away by someone? What would you do if something you've worked hard for a long time was taken away by someone? I'll ask everywhere like you do, Christine chuckled. I think Miss Claire's job is still not saturated enough. What's the reason you don't need to work at the moment? It's better for people like Miss Claire to fill the void in life with a full load of work, so they don't have time to daydream. After all, Christine let go and Claire, who was halfway lifted, fell heavily to the ground. She crouched down and sneered. Rotten oranges are rotten oranges. Claire sat dumbfounded in the same spot, her pupils reflecting the figure of Christine leaving. Not long after, she let out a piercing scream. Christine. Her gray-blue pupils were filled with resentment, and her hands, propped up on the ground, clenched tightly, crushing the debris from the wall into powder, revealing blood-stained teeth. Completed the event, counterattack on Sister Claire's murder and heartbreak and obtained the random state seal from the Bible, blessing of courage, oh my goodness, how could my naturally sweet red lips say such heartless words? My evaluation is, Fluctuation burst, why didn't she break her waist? On weekends, if she can only be passive, she should soon lose interest in Isaac, this bastard. Unfortunately, it's probably because it's a public place, and she dares not tie Claire's beaker too, otherwise I'll let her know. Even if it turns into RBQ together, she's still the backup one. Oh, roar, roar. The strange comparison mentality of the Virgin Mary. It's a blessing of courage. Undoubtedly, it is the brain of this saint. I was already trying to condense, and it should have been when I came into contact with Claire's courage blessing, that I was also enhanced by greed deficiency. Damn it, although she unexpectedly gained a wave burst, it fluctuated purple. She should want to buy a few bottles of drinks immediately. Does she have any misunderstandings? Just like a wife cake without a wife, drinks cannot cure it. Li Xuan was about to check the effect of blessing of courage, when suddenly, the body of Saint Christine collided with someone. Looking up, the blind old man Chris used his sword scabbard to resist the impact. He seemed to have unintentionally said, if you had the heart eye, the saint would not have been ambushed by Miss Claire, nor would you have recklessly bumped into me. Well, what I mean is, do I need to testify for you? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Appearance is deceptive. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Appearance is deceptive. A qualified scam game company would not be foolish enough to completely clarify the realm of the sorcerer in version 1.0. After all, whether it's a novel or a game, changing maps at will is a hard hit. For example, Li Xuan holds some game materials and doesn't even know what the realm above, Warlock, is. However, Sword Saint Chris meets all your expectations for the strong. In the church, he immediately sensed the birth of Wave Burst and came to the door of the training ground, even hearing her and Claire's conversation from a distance. Saint Christine, who had only been a magician for less than a week, condensed the seal of Wave Burst, which successfully caught the attention of the blind old Chris. He didn't mind creating an encounter and used words to guide Christine to practice Heart Eye. This brought great joy to Li Xuan's heart, indicating that the game information he had mastered did not deviate significantly from the world. But what surprised Li Xuan was that all that old blind Chris paid attention to Christine. A genius sorcerer like Christine is highly likely to gather a three-piece set of Wave Burst, Mind Eye, and Killing Intention Wave. But what she received was only a seemingly casual simple guidance from Sword Saint Chris. Obviously, his desire for apprenticeship is not high. But it doesn't matter, Li Xuan knows the inside story, just gather the three-piece set. I can't tell that this old blind man still has such a kind heart, but what's the use of reporting? The biggest one here is Bishop Isaac. Besides letting Claire punish herself, does reporting have any other significance? Li Xuan knows, what the hell is punishing himself with a cup? Heart Eye. There is a shortcut to playing with fluctuations, and there may also be a shortcut. I have heard a proverb, the little knife pulls the buttocks. It opens the eyes. The Virgin Mary knows how to draw inferences from one case to another. Li Xuan was really startled. Fortunately, such a curious way did not gain his subconscious recognition. Otherwise, Christine's little hand might have been placed on the scabbard of the blind old man Chris due to behavioral assistance, ready to open his eyes. If Mr. Chris is really discussing Wave Burst with Sister Monica, perhaps he can give me some advice on mind. Saint Christine did indeed develop a slight interest in the eye of the heart. Helping Saint Christine bring her closer to the blind old man Chris, completing this event, can obtain a random spelled seal from the Bible. Li Xuan found that the triggering of the event was largely related to Christine's thoughts. There are definitely not too many seals. He shook his head with Christine's head and said, no need, it doesn't make any sense to punish yourself. Mr. Chris would better stay away from me. I just offended the bishop severely. I happen to take this opportunity to inform Sword Saint Chris about Kristen's current situation. You think I am on the first level, a kind saint who doesn't want to implicate others, while you are actually a super big shot on the second level, but in reality, I am on the third level, knowing that you are a super big shot and intentionally acting. And Sword Saint Chris cannot be on the fourth level, because Christine is just a 3-star sorcerer. Even Li Xuan deliberately used Christine's body to make a very awkward and comical gesture when facing her, in order to block Claire's view of the Sword Saint Chris. This kind and beautiful-looking stupid girl, anyone who is a good person cannot bear to be bullied by scumbags like Bishop Isaac, right? Watching the empty and murky eyes of the old blind man Chris, Li Xuan's heart kept muttering to himself. Is this considered flirting with the blind man? If you can't even notice this scene from the perspective of the heart, it would be awkward. Claire, who was deep in the training ground, saw Christine at the door with her back to her. She twisted her buttocks, as if mocking her ugliness in front of Bishop Isaac. She was extremely angry and spat out a big mouthful of blood, holding her head and screaming loudly, "Christine! Thank you for your assist. If it's just a nun, there's still a favor I can do to face the bishop directly. I can't provoke him, haha." The old blind Chris seemed startled, gave a haha, turned around and wanted to leave, but paused before leaving. He left a suggestion. Be careful of those who have nothing. Is that all for the wizard? I thought he would shout, "My fate is up to me, not from heaven," and fight against the bishop with me. I seriously suspect that he was the one who pulled his buttocks with a small knife, which opened his mind. If his mouth is still mine, I must ask, did you lift your anus today? If he reveals his secrets, it must be a shortcut to his mind. You are smart. Completed event, bringing Christine and Chris closer, and obtained a random spell seal from the Bible. The price of impulse, appearance is deceptive, and beauty is one of the best weapons women can use. Even if there is no desire, it will inevitably make people feel good. In short, the Sword Saint Chris has been deceived. Miss Saint, your body is really functional. Favorability plus, wave burst, should Sword Saint Chris take more care of Christine. Due to offending Bishop Isaac in advance, Li Xuan would be very distressed if he were to be possessed next time and find an opportunity to be bound by Isaac, or be in a bucket filled with cement. Li Xuan was really afraid that he would be forced to kidnap a beautiful nun who passed by because of the Madonna's wild thoughts, so he quickly walked towards Christine's bedroom. The gifted saint has enough free time to practice after completing the shooting, and does not need to participate in anything for the time being, as she is currently in the explosive period of her spell seal. If she has the expected talent as a sorcerer, then the Church of Light does not mind truly cultivating a saint. Another new seal. The price of impulse. How did this come about? Did she regret humiliating Bishop Isaac now because of what the old blind Chris said? Perhaps it was the birth of the wave explosion that gave her a new plan, undoubtedly a natural talent of this saint. Putting aside the grandiose waste in the Virgin Mary's mind, she is still very smart and can understand the reasons on her own. Li Xuan ignored her stink and checked the two newly obtained spell seals. Blessing of Courage limitation. You are not in a state of fear effect. A maximum of 3 units, including oneself, within a circular range with a radius of 20 m, centered on oneself, gain a 20% increase in mana, which lasts until the mana is depleted or cancelled. Cooldown for 3 minutes. The price of impulse limitation. Only those who are easily angered can comprehend from the Bible. This seal can only be condensed once. This spell will disappear after taking effect. Anger is a manifestation of incompetence, losing reason. God comes to guard, which can be triggered when falling into anger. It increases mana by 30% and lasts for 10 minutes, but you must choose to permanently lose a spell seal. Dong 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 dong. Suddenly, a large number of black-clothed mages rushed out from all sides of the corridor, surrounding the Virgin Christine in groups. Wow! The black-clothed wizard neatly arranged a passage, and Bishop Isaac walked from a distance with a gloomy expression on his face. He watched as a hint of eerie terror flashed through Christine's pupils, and spoke coldly with the attitude that a bishop should have. Saint Christine, there are many effects of the seal of the green tea bitch, but those with your kind of effects can only be condensed by practicing the lustful god Aphrodite's desire code. You think this matter is seamless, but you don't know that I have condensed a rare magic seal from the Bible called the light prism, which can be used to illuminate other people's magic seals. You are an insider of the church. Now, do you have anything else to add? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Truth Without Great Adventures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Truth Without Great Adventures. In cases where the power difference is not significant, the mage can sense the effect of the spell seal when the opponent's mage uses it. But Bishop Isaac should not have done it. Because after winning the effect of green tea bitch, he had no intention of actively sensing the effect of the magic seal. But fortunately, he condensed the rare magic seal, light prism, from the Bible and later illuminated the effect of the green tea bitch seal. A regular green tea bitch may amplify the heart rate effect up to 2.3 times, while Christine's green tea bitch can amplify up to 100 times, making it the ultimate green tea bitch with real value. I thought she was some pure saint, but I didn't expect she was just a bitch. At this moment, Isaac laughed instead of getting angry. Just as the Bible contains the exclusive seal of the 7 sins of greed and the cost of impulse, the supreme green tea bitch is the exclusive seal of the desire scripture of the lust god cult. This also means that Christine must have practiced the Book of Desire. She turned out to be a senior agent who passed political trials as a village maid, lurked in the Church of Light and temporarily became a saint. Suddenly, he fell down again. Lick it. The shoe prints on the floor revealed a twisted smile. Then he immediately brought people over to capture the virgin Christine. In Isaac's eyes, Christine was no different from the female knight who had been kidnapped into Goblin's lair. The kind of joy that was about to wreak havoc on Christine, to the point where he even ignored this metaphor. The opposite is true. The goddess of lust should be Goblin. It is only reasonable to have the right to use Christine before she is sent to the cross and burned to death, finding a senior agent and crushing a cult conspiracy. If I switch roles, I will let you know what cruelty is. Thinking of this, Isaac's lips showed a hint of coldness, and he couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. Puzzy. Who is laughing? Isaac looked ahead with a hint of confusion in his eyes. What did he see? Saint Christine sometimes patted her face, let out screams of surprise, and sometimes stretched out, jumping excitedly in place with a happy smile. What is she doing? The gangster's excitement punch. Isaac once felt his head itch and couldn't figure out Christine's behavior. But a nun suddenly came to his side and whispered, making him unable to help but smile. At this moment, there won't be any accidents when Christine is pressed down. Guess what we found in your room? Isaac sneered. Bring the people up. The black-clad mage once again made way for a passage, and many nuns who were watching covered their mouths and exclaimed in surprise. Oh my goodness! It's Alice. Recently, there have been many nuns missing from the church, and it has long been suspected that some cult members of the lust cult have infiltrated the church. The nuns found the missing Alice in the nun's room. What kind of binding technique is this? Ha! This kind of binding looks quite impressive. I really want to give it a try. Bishop Isaac waved his hand and cut the rope with a light spear. Beside him, a mage used a spell seal. Sister Alice slowly opened her eyes from her coma. He asked, "Who kidnapped you?" Sister Alice helped her head and swept around in a daze, still feeling a bit confused. She just looked at Christine hesitantly and said, "I checked the situation in the saint's room, and then I passed out." Alice was knocked unconscious, but the Virgin was fine. She prayed every day. Is this really Christine kidnapping Alice? The cultists of the lust god cult infiltrated the church in this way and even became saints. It's so terrifying. Bishop Isaac sneered, "What else do you want to say? This person has stolen and obtained it." Wow! Suddenly, the black-clothed wizard straightened out once again, making way for a passage. A white-haired beauty holding a scepter and wearing a purple robe slowly walked over, with a tall figure and sharp eyes, giving a heavy sense of oppression. Isoacton's eyes lit up as she was in charge of the Virgin Mary Project and the Archbishop of the Church of Light, Iris. She usually wouldn't come to this branch church, and she didn't expect it to happen so coincidentally today. Ha! At the time when he was breaking the conspiracy of the cult, it was different from when the boss couldn't see him when he was busy, and he would definitely be seen by the boss when he touched the fish. His actions happened to be caught by the boss, and he burst out laughing, full of pride. At this moment, he used the light prism to show his wizard talent to the boss and the church. What a beautiful script is this! The next step is for my uncle, who is the cardinal, to use this operation to help him ascend step by step within the church, obtain a huge amount of resources, sleep, and become the most beautiful nun, thus reaching the pinnacle of life. Bold demon, I can tell at a glance that you're not a good person. Miso. Isaac waved his hand and saw the space rotate like a mirror, illuminating Christine's body. Immediately, many messages appeared on her body. Light spear, reading, prayer, backstab, wave burst, courage blessing, impulsive price. Gone. What about the green tea bitch? The scene was once silent, and everyone's hearts were filled with the same doubts as Isaac, all looking at him. What about the green tea bitch? Isaac's smile froze at the corner of his mouth, and bloodshot appeared in his eyes. He shouted incredulously, "Where's your green tea bitch?" He smashed the light prism with one punch, used it again, and his body couldn't stop taking a few heavy steps back, unable to believe his own eyes. But suddenly, Saint Christine's eyes turned red, and large tears rolled down her beautiful cheeks like sparkling pearls. She looked at Archbishop Alice and threw herself into her arms as if she could no longer bear it. Her sweet voice was now covered in a hoarse, rainy shade, and she choked up sadly. "I feel wronged." Lord Iris, woo. Archbishop Iris stood in place, stunned. How long has it been since Christine became a sorcerer? Less than 7 days. In just 7 days, she unexpectedly gathered 3 rare and difficult spell seals from the Bible, namely, Wave Burst, Courage Blessing, and Impulse Price. What an incredible talent for magic. Such a genius sorcerer was falsely accused of being a cult member of the Lust God sect. If she didn't come, would she have been falsely accused and desecrated with power? Iris's face visibly darkened. We must compensate her well, with the best weapons, the best vestments, and the best spells. We must not let such a genius have any resentment towards the church. This is impossible. At this moment, Isaac couldn't hold his breath anymore, pointing at Christine with red eyes and yelling, "She definitely has a magic seal, green tea bitch, a urine test is necessary. Please have the Archbishop investigate this woman thoroughly. Haven't you had enough trouble with the fox yet?" Alice shouted, her eyes showing a strong disgust. If it weren't for this son's uncle being a cardinal, this incident alone would have been enough to tie him to the cross. What about Sister Alice? She's tied up under Christine's bed. Who can explain this? Isaac roared angrily. Many people bow their heads. Is there any explanation for this? Aren't you directing and acting yourself? Christine sobbed softly and said, "Miss Alice must have been threatened by him. Please don't punish her, Archbishop. I still want Miss Alice to follow me. Good child." Alice's love for Christine was almost overflowing in her eyes. "Please, Archbishop Ming Cha." Isaac roared angrily, "There are still marks of mouth, water drying, and dryness on the floor of my office. If it weren't for this female green tea bitch plotting against me, how could I have licked the floor?" After saying this, Isaac couldn't help but regret it, but he gritted his teeth tightly. There must be a seal to prove this, right? As long as we investigate closely, the truth will definitely come to light. Okay. Iris was furious and took out a precious disposable spell seal. "Honestly, there's no big risk," she said, and hit Isaac. "Did you take the initiative to lick it?" Isaac vomited blood. "Why are you asking her? Why are you asking me?" Not long ago, he thought he had the chance to win, and the excitement of getting something he couldn't get was like poison that made him unable to stop. So he really took the initiative to lick it. The scene fell silent for a moment, and everyone's gaze was fixed on Isaac. He gritted his teeth tightly, his veins in his temples twitching like a dragon, and his eyes were covered in terrifying blood. "Tell me, did you take the initiative to lick it?" Alice's body suddenly erupted with a terrifying pressure, making it difficult for Isaac to persevere. With a shiver in his body, his eyes turned black and he uttered the word that left him utterly disillusioned. End of this chapter.